Do. We're back. That was secret Morse code. Go figure out what I just said. You'll figure it out. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. Jaguars Uncovered, episode number 4. All right, here we are. Made it to the big 4. We're back again. Here's Schultzy. Got my new guy Josh with me again for his second episode, and we're going to be recapping the preseason week 2 game here against the Buccaneers. We touched on a preview of the joint practices last week, and both of us. Well, actually, your spotlight there was interior O-line versus mainly Vita Vea in practice, and yeah, that happened. I mean, I don't think we need to go too much into depth there, but it happened for sure.
It was there.
Mine was the Jags corners versus the wide receivers for the Buccaneers, and honestly, we didn't really hear much, so like that's a good thing, really. I mean, if we had heard those receivers were running wild all day, that would have been a problem, but they weren't. So hey, that's cool. But with that, well, yeah, we're gonna keep digging in tonight, reviewing that game. We'll get into positive, negatives. We'll do some little film stuff, and then preview the Falcons game. Other than that, we're just gonna jump right in. This is the we're on the Undroppables Network. I should have dropped that one already, but I didn't. It's all good. Undroppables Network on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe. And with that, we're gonna jump right in. Here we go. Boom. So I was over there rambling, and then it hit me. I didn't play the intro video. But I did it. We made it up. We made it. So we're good. Anyways, what's going on today, dude?
Doing good. How you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad. I got to tell you, this new version of the preseason we're getting, I could live like this, man.
Yeah, we're 2-0.
Yeah, just right? Everything is so much more chill. The anxiety, the stress, like it's just not there like it used to be.
Having young, fun players to watch.
That's a big one. And like you're not just watching a roster full of dudes who aren't going to be here. Like, right. Yeah, just changes are happening. We've got depth. Trent Baalke is doing his thing. Second time on this show's history, I've given Trent Baalke roses, so write that one down again. All right, dude, we're going to jump right into this game, and we're going to get into positive reactions. And first up for me is Mac Jones. He had that one really bad miss in like the first quarter, I want to say. It was Cooks. He had wide open. And he missed him, but it is whatever. Other than that, Mac was really good. What did you think?
Yeah, Mac looked solid. He followed that up with that beautiful pass to Parker Washington right up the seam. Gorgeous. I mean, Mac is what he is. I think he's a good number 2. Obviously, there was that interior pressure where he just fell down. I think that's going to be expected with Mac Jones. He's not going to outrun anybody if it's there. He's just going to take a sack. But other than that, I mean, he's a good number 2, and I think he locked up the number 2. CJ obviously got hurt, so that doesn't help. But
I think without the injury, I think he locked it up anyways.
Yeah.
It was a really impressive showing. And, yeah, he just brings that stability. Like, we entered last season saying the exact same thing about Beathard. Like, hey, we finally got, like, somewhat of a, stability here at the backup. Nice veteran presence. And, like, they just leveled it up again. And it's just insane seeing Mac get out of New England. It's hilarious.
Yeah. He's a completely different dude.
And I have faith that if Trevor goes down for 2 or 3 games, like Matt can win 1 or 2. Like we're not going to be totally screwed. If Trevor's out for 6, 7, 8 games, we're screwed. But I feel pretty good about Mac being a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I think the coaches probably would too. I think that's what forced the problems last year. Trevor wanted to play hurt. Coaches were okay with that because we even saw in the Panthers game when Beathard did play. I was there live. It wasn't a lot to be proud of. It was a lot of checkdowns and stuff. So
Right.
I think Max
Yeah, that's a
probably
really
would.
good point about the coaching staff, because I think that is a reason they kept rolling Trevor out, is like, we don't have another choice right now.
Yeah, I heard Trevor is currently better than our backup, and that's not where you want to live.
Right. Especially with everything he had going too.
Yeah, he was really hurt.
He had no business being out there for a couple of those games. And we're going to talk about some Parker Washington. You mentioned him on that seam pass. He continues to just make the best of all of his opportunities. His name keeps popping up in practice. He's flashed in both games so far. What a turnaround in one off season, man.
Yeah, he's looking like the biggest improvement, I think, of everybody this offseason in terms of like where we thought he was going to be and where he is now. Like, I would be comfortable if Kurt got hurt now with
Right.
Parker Washington going in, where last year it was unknown. You hoped it could be good, but now if we have an issue like that with Kirk again, I feel comfortable with Parker Washington stepping in there.
So when Kurt got hurt last year, I wrote a couple of my betting articles. I played some Parker Washington props because they were just so low. And I want to say I hit like one of them, and I did it a couple times. It wasn't like the most successful thing, but yeah, I liked him. The pretty good opportunity there. And last year I kind of thought, this is just he's a solid guy who's going to just be some depth and just a solid player. But now it really legitimately looks like this guy might be impactful.
Yeah, and special teams and offense.
Yeah, it's huge. So especially with Kirk's cap hit next year, um, that's a question. I know I didn't hear it, but I guess somebody asked about this on Jaguars Happy Hour or one of those shows, and they got absolutely ripped apart about it for suggesting that they might cut Kirk next year. And I get it. Like, Kirk and Trevor have the relationship. Kirk has been so good here, and he's going to be so good again this season. But this is the NFL we're talking about. It's a business. And when you have this dude who's set to make that much next year and a dude who's going to make $1 million, yeah, there's a legitimate question to be had.
Yeah, and I think the versatility of Parker adds a little more. We saw instances in that Bucks game where he moved outside and took on press and was able to get off of it and make an impact there. Where Kirk, he's like exclusively in the slot. Like,
Yep.
they can't move him outside. So with Parker, it gives him that versatility. I mean, Kirk's obviously amazing. He's one of the best slot receivers in the league. But when you have a guy who can do that and go outside, it allows you to move guys like Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas around.
I was just about to say it allows you to throw Thomas in the slot and run that
Slot fade,
sluggo.
baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a slot fade, not a sluggo. But yeah, it's like that was dirty.
Yeah.
So yeah, the versatility is a good call there. We're gonna talk about Tank before we go to Brian Thomas. Once again, dude is just showing out. He had that drop in practice that we kind of joked about last week, but once again in the games, Tank is doing really good. We're gonna talk 2 plays from him here in a little bit, but he's the patience, the vision, making guys miss, the just like the pure strength to finish a run. It's so confusing.
Yeah. Again, another guy just like Parker, man, just like turned it on this offseason. The guy that we thought we were getting last year showed up, that in between the tackles runner who's able to break through contact and keep moving. That chain mover we need.
And especially with the offensive line, like with how we think they're going to perform at this point, like you need the running backs back there who can help the line. ETN obviously does that. He's always a league leader in missed tackles forced. But if Tank can bring that himself, but also do it with the vision. Yeah, that's going to be a huge plus. We'll get back into him in a little bit. Brian Thomas, look, it was one play. We're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But, dude, that one play is just oozing with positives.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
We're not going to give too much away here because we're going to look at it here. But, yeah, we'll get back to that one. Another positive here, just defensive line depth, man. Like, this team's going to cut someone who's going to get picked up, right?
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Are they going to stash
Between
Miles Cole? They're going to.
right, and that's a tough one because I don't know if he clears waivers. Like the traits, like it's just such a traits dude that a team's gonna jump on that, especially with some of the flashes he made. Like he's put some on film already too, so it's not like it's was that Jordan Smith situation.
Yeah.
It's not like that where it's just a pure traits guy who's done nothing. Like Miles Cole's already popped on film a little bit, so I don't know if he'd clear. Speaks, if we cut him, he'll get picked up, I bet.
Yeah.
Was it DJ Coleman's been really good? For the first time, D line in a while, like top to bottom, is just showing out. And we're getting Roy Robertson Harris playing late still. And Doug Peterson was saying, no, don't read into that. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, they said don't read into it. He's just getting ready for the season.
Right. Yeah, I love the D-line depth right now, and that's going to be a position of strength, I think, and especially with Nielsen. Like Nielsen coming in with the like talent level that's there now. Whew, that's a good combo. Talk some Chad Muma.
Muma was awesome on Saturday. The run support he provided, and then you saw the athleticism that popped. What made him so intriguing as a prospect? Dude was all over the place. Like if there was any like hesitance about Muma getting on the field, and because the Bijan play from last year obviously left a sour taste in people's mouth. It wasn't the best look for Muma. It looked even worse in Toy Story mode. But the dude was good on Saturday. Like genuinely, like he was plugging holes. He was getting off blocks. He was everywhere.
Seems to me like he's kind of like the brain caught up, and then once the brain caught up, it just freed everything else.
Yeah, he could be one of those guys who's just
finally. That kind of happens with linebackers. I feel like a decent amount. Like once they like the mental game, like fully settles in for a linebacker, especially like this run, like those run guys. Linebackers. What was I gonna say? I had something else there. Oh, what about Abdullah? How are you feeling about Abdullah playing Sam?
I think he's going to be, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever see him like a true linebacker. I think he's going to be that edge blitzer still, but putting him a little bit further off the line allows him to use that athleticism more.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be like taking meaningful snaps as like a off the ball linebacker.
Yeah.
But yeah, rotational, situational dude. I think he can provide some impact, and as a fifth round pick or whatever, like that's totally fine.
Right.
Last positive here, we'll just mention Cole Van Lanen. He was named the PFF MVP during the game with a grade here of 91. He had 0 pressures on 36 pass blocking snaps. Man,
pretty
that's
good.
Like Hall of Fame numbers compared to this O-line.
Right? Especially on the interior.
Yeah. So he was the guy we traded from, I want to say the Packers. Yeah, for like a 7th rounder or something.
Yeah, he was a depth piece last year.
Yep, and it was one of those ones you make the trade and you're just like, whatever. Like you don't even think anything of it.
Right.
But hey, the guy's actually maybe going to turn out. I think he'll be depth. There's a lot of negatives here, so we're just going to transition to the negatives because the number one is the O-line.
Yeah, still.
It was brutal again, man.
Yeah, it went from all week hearing about them getting whipped by the Bucs, and then in the game, the didn't look any better, especially in the run blocking. The run blocking looks like it's going to be an issue.
So I'm holding out a smidge of hope because, like Mitch Morse said, the run blocking can take some time to gel. Um, like they still haven't trotted out the fully healthy line yet. Um, so like there's some reason for optimism, but overall, uh, white flag, like we're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't like it one bit.
And I also wrote down the short yardage too because it happened again, man. They had a short yardage run and just nothing. And I
Yeah,
believe it was to Tank. But once again, it was like the instant he has the ball, it's like there's just no push. And it's not even like I don't know, like a zone block or something or an assignment block where it's this is short yardage. This is just you versus your man, for the most part, strength on strength, and they just get manhandled every time.
every single time. I don't know if it's like the scheme, what they're teaching and blocking, but yeah, there's zero push. These running backs are getting hit in the backfield consistently.
Right. I don't get it. Um, but yeah, O line, I think that's the biggest negative on the team right now. Other than that, is there like a huge glaring concern on this starting lineup?
Just the interior. Tackles are
Yeah, honestly,
good.
I think that's about it. Like I feel pretty good about the team overall, except for the line.
Yep.
Um, the only other negative we wrote down here is Josh Cephas, I think actually, because I think it's Quint. What's the other Cephas? There's another Cephas in the league receiver.
Oh man, I couldn't tell you.
It doesn't matter. But he's Cephas. Also, doesn't matter. He not dropped. He had a fumble, and that's just something you can't do when you're fighting for a roster spot, especially as an
Nope.
undrafted guy who hasn't proven anything yet and doesn't play special teams.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, we pointed him out last week as somebody who we thought might take that last spot, and
yep.
then he dropped this.
Cooks has been solid in practice and stuff, but
Yeah,
he had that
special
drop,
teams.
and he
Yeah,
might have housed that one, man. He was
yeah, I
coming
think.
out like the
Yeah,
safety might have had him, but I mean, there's a chance if he slips that safety, he would have housed it.
he's such a good run blocker, though. I think they love that about him
Oh,
because he gives
absolutely.
it. He gives it in the run game.
It's like that. Tim Jones to special teams is the
Yeah,
same. Elijah Cooks is to run blocking. Like, yeah, I think they're going to stick to 6, and I think it's going to be Jones and
Cooks.
Cooks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, hold
they're
on.
good
Let
at
me
what they
count.
do.
Does that count Duvernay? Because we got the starting 3,
Oh, they'll have to have
Washington.
7 if they keep both
Okay,
of them.
7. Yeah. So I think it is going to be 7. Because Duvernay is an interesting one because he's not. Well, I don't think he's going to take many snaps at receiver, but then again, we saw him get that
We
touchdown.
saw
But
Agnew take snaps, and he's better than Agnew as a receiver. He's actually a receiver.
that's fair. Yeah. God, man, the Agnew thing makes me so mad still.
See, Nate Tice from Yahoo had a funny bit about that. With like he compared it to the Joker, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Stop with the clown." Every time he'd come in,
Yes, because they just stuck Ridley on the outside and was like, you just run straight or run a comeback. So why not put Agnew out there and just tell
yep,
him to do that and then have Ridley as your move guy? That's what I didn't understand.
it was very interesting their usage of Galvin. They had like 2 games, one being the Bills game where they like used him, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Nope, not doing that again."
Yeah, we're good. Weird. Before we jump into the little film bit here, what is your opinion on Press Taylor so far?
Honestly, I think it's been decent. He hasn't gotten stuck in the run game like he would last year, where he
Mm-hmm.
would run it no matter what into a wall. And then he's doing some pretty good stuff with these route concepts and everything. We're seeing guys get open. I know it's preseason. Defenses aren't adjusting for anything,
Right.
but it is nice to see like design guys getting open and actually working.
Yeah. I think we touched on it last week, like the ETN touchdown last week on that angle route
Yeah,
that cleared the middle of the field perfectly, like play design wise.
exactly.
Left him one on one with the
Didn't have
linebacker.
to
It
look
was
anywhere
over.
else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just making it easy for everyone there. Yeah, there's nothing atrocious has happened with press yet. That makes me go like, oh shit.
Yeah, and we've seen some rollouts. I think that was something they went away from last year. Not letting Trevor use his athleticism. I think they're starting like moving a little more. They even moved Mac a couple times. So
Yeah, part of that I wonder is like how much of that was like injury related
yeah,
down the stretch there. But yeah, I don't know what totally changed, but I mean it's improving. I am surprised that Doug is giving him play calling after Shad's comments in the offseason about like pretty much said like your job's on the line. You should probably do this.
yeah. I wonder if Doug's just ready to go down with the ship. That's why he
Right?
brought in somebody like Nielsen. If
It's
he
a good
goes
call.
down, it's in capable hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of odd to me that Shad
Yeah,
comes out and makes that statement and then Doug is still kind of like, nah, I'm good.
it's weird.
Okay, do you want to talk about Tank or the Brian Thomas comeback first?
Uh we can get the tank stuff out the way. He's got some interesting stats here.
Okay. So we got our first little Tank clip here. What do you got here? What do you like?
This is like what you touched on earlier, that vision. The way he's patient right there, you can see the hole just open up for him. And then through contact, he's like he knows where the line is, where he has to go, and he's like diving to go get it. Like he's
Yeah,
not
that's a
giving
good
up on the
call
play, even with jerseys all around him.
too, because he runs straight into Thomas, but then he's able to bounce it again and then have the awareness to get the first here. But like you said, pacing right off the go instead of just shooting full speed, he's letting this develop.
Also,
And,
Anton clearing the way was pretty awesome. Big
oh yeah, look at
77,
that.
two
Yeah,
bodies.
was that Deguara out there getting some too?
Yeah, even Brian Thomas, he's got his guy up there. That's a
Let's
linebacker, I
go.
think. No, yeah, 43. That's Chris Braswell.
I was gonna say I couldn't. You read it, not me. Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. And this is the stuff he showed in the preseason last year too. I gotta think there's something there with the indie game just kind of fucked him up.
Yeah.
And it was
He
kind of
messed up
just
twice
over.
that game. Yeah.
Right.
Got the yips.
Let's get into another run he had here too. This one is from the other angle.
Yeah, this is the Chiefs game right here. I think this just shows like what I talked about in terms of what we expected, in terms of being able to fight through that contact on the inside runs. So
Right.
this is pointed out with his like yards after
Boom.
contact, where he has 65 yards this season and 62 have come after contact. So the dude's just getting hit right away and making the best out of it. That's per True Media. So just insane
Here's
stuff.
first contact is about to happen at the 40.
Yeah. He just bounces off two guys and gets what's that?
17.
Almost 20 extra yards.
Yeah.
Just insane contact balance and stuff. And that's what you need. That's what we needed last year.
Right. Because again, the vision, we mentioned vision. He sees that's not there and just cuts it back laterally and then is able to, make the guy miss, accelerate. This is both of these runs. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the
Like
cutback on that one.
when he's on like this, it's fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's fun to watch him run the ball. He's way different than ETN in terms of how he gets his yardage.
Mm-hmm. And that like dichotomy between the two could be so effective.
Yep. because he can still break it on the
Right.
outside too.
Whoopsies. Didn't mean to start that one back up. Okay, remove those. We'll go over to Brian Thomas. That one on. In this one, we briefly mentioned, look, it's just a comeback, man. But it's the release, it's the stutter, it's the slamming the brakes. Oh, hold on. We got that stupid line right in the center again. There we go. Let's go back to this one. And you get the dude playing way off him because of what happened to them in practice. Like he burned
They're
him twice.
respecting the speed.
Right. And this is a rookie in the preseason getting that respect already. He hits that stutter, and this dude's on skates. The instant Thomas hits this stutter, look at like that dude is just
He's preparing to go on a full sprint towards the end zone. Like, I got to race this kid.
The deceleration too is like, that's just insane to be able to stop that quickly.
Yeah, almost 6'3". This is stuff that like he did at LSU, but not often.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pacing he has here, he's like working the guy and selling that deep route, but while being able to come. Like this is stuff that Calvin Ridley was really good at last year.
Right.
So him being able to do that and still add that over the top element that Ridley didn't necessarily have is going to be huge.
And, you know, and talking about Mac Jones, CJ Beathard isn't making this play.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised Mac did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Mac has some athleticism to him, at least more than CJ.
Right. I'll go one more time just for fun.
That was a good little dude. Todd Bowles is a demon, man, with the way he rides up blitzes.
Mm-hmm.
Golly. The old line was just shot.
I'll see. They're showing 6 on 5.
The old set.
Well, I guess it would have been 6 on 6 with the tight end, but they didn't even send them all. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff right there. And then the last thing here we're going to bring up is we got this one from Ian Harritz on Twitter.
Big fantasy guy.
Yes, he is. And he has a lot of really good he comes up with a lot of really good things like this. I want to say he does during the season he'll run basically like a stat of offensive lines who are clearing, you know, who are creating run blocking yards and who are going against defenses who get pushed around. Like he's really awesome about giving you those discrepancies to target for fantasy. But okay, so this one, Jaguars offensive line ranked 31st and 30th in pressure rate and rush yards before contact per carry. Now that's just in the 2 preseason games, so it's pretty small sample, but you can see here on the left, you got pressure rate, and for 2023, 2022, this is the bottom 5 teams for both years. And then the same thing on the right, but with rush yards before contact per carry, bottom 5 teams for the last 2 years in the preseason. This is really just showing us that the improvement should not be counted on. You got a couple of outliers who have transformed into top 10 units. I would be willing to guess that those lines probably didn't have very impactful guys playing in the preseason in order to make that big of a jump.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at like the Saints, they have Derek Carr, who's notorious for throwing it away before pressure gets there.
That's a good call.
And then the Bengals, they spent half of their year with a hurt Joe Burrow, who was throwing it in 2.1 seconds. So that was
dude, that's also a good call. And then you go to the Lions too. They were
that's their rushing yards before contact.
Right.
Obviously, they have a really good line. You'd have to assume that maybe they didn't do it. Same with the Chiefs. They just don't play a lot of starters in the preseason.
Right. So yeah, there's always a reason for something like that.
Yeah, for
for
that drastic
outliers.
jump like that. Yeah.
Um, but other than that, like you shouldn't be banking on this team to improve even to middle of the pack. Like this is going to
Yeah.
be a bottom 10 unit,
Yep.
period. Like I just don't see how it's not.
Yeah, that should be the expectation. I know we all want to believe Mitch Morse was the answer, but at this point, I think we have to just pray we don't get stepped on Trevor again.
Oh God. Yeah. And I've been holding out optimism because it's like, they need time to gel. Let's get everybody who's actually going to start out there. Um, but this didn't exactly make me feel good.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I
We're
saw that. I
gonna
thought that was crazy.
get
Didn't
that
like it.
negativity out of here. And then let me get this other overlay up. Let's get on to the Falcons game. That's this Friday. We're gonna get about a half out of the starters. What are you looking for here? Are you nervous?
I just want to see like operation wise. Since Doug got here, we kind of run against the clock, the play clock, and we've had a
Mm-hmm.
couple times, even in preseason games, where it's been delay games and stuff. Let's just see the operation. Everybody get there cleanly, especially with all the new receivers. Give me a BTJ bomb, at least one. Gotta have one. I might even take a Gabe Davis bomb. I do want to see one of those too.
It's my guy Biggs watching that I do fantasy pods with. He's a Raiders fan. At least you
Oh
have a
boy.
QB.
Hey, they
Biggs,
named
I'm
their
so
starter.
sorry. I'm so sorry that Gardner. He's a Aiden Stan. He's
Ah,
devastated. Yeah. Um, but for me, I want to see. Well, first off, no injuries, obviously. Like that's the
right.
big one. I want to see Brian Thomas do something again. Like it doesn't even have to be a big bomb, but the fact that we're just seeing like he's stacking development, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is just something we haven't seen from young receivers like that we put capital into. I know we had the Reggie Williams, the Matt Jones, like the laundry list. Um, but like how many of these dudes or even second round receivers we've invested in, you just don't see the improvement. Um, and that is a big problem. And with Brian Thomas, like we have tangible improvement right in front of our eyes, and it's happening within the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
So
Yeah. On that, yeah, I got something when you're done
yeah,
on that same thing.
I just want to see him show us something again.
Yeah. Yeah, I was even thinking as you're talking, just like show us like an over the middle, like intermediate route. Give us one of those like Gabe Davis deep digs, like he caught last week. That'll
Right.
show like the true versatility. That'd be awesome.
I think that's why the comeback this past week got me excited was because it showed another level of like what he can do and what he can bring.
Yeah,
And then the other thing for me, um, I just want them to not look like complete shit.
I
Like you
agree.
don't have to they don't have to light it up. They don't they don't have to be perfect. Just don't fall on your face. That's all I want.
Yeah, with this being the last game, and then we know we got the Dolphins week one, a competent offense would be fun to watch.
Yes.
Just because,
That
like, give us some hope going into week one.
yeah, because the Dolphins in September is a whole other animal. Especially um first month of the season Dolphins when Mike McDaniel doesn't have his new tricks on tape.
Yeah, it's gonna be scary hours for a little bit.
I think that's the biggest concern there with that game is going to be just Mike McDaniel because he's a problem when you know his tricks.
Yep.
And I recall this happened last season listening to the Athletic pod where they were like freaking out after week one, like Mike McDaniel's at it again.
Yeah, that's when he introduced the cheat motion. And
Mm-hmm.
added that, and now the league has a rule for it. So it's all
Right. So yeah, I'm very scared about what Mike McDaniel's gonna have planned for us. You got anything else before we hit our MVP of the week?
I don't think so. Let's get the D line, get some pass rush. Trayvon and Josh, while they got some pressure their last time starting, it wasn't like the greatest showing. So let's get some consistent pass rush.
That I'm down for that for sure. Other than that, we're gonna go to the MVP of the week, and unfortunately, this week it's me. I fell asleep at halftime.
Oh man.
Hey, my wife was out of town this weekend, and I was on dad duty all day, so I was tired, man. And then I woke up and I was like, "Oh crap! I just missed the second half of the game." So, I got to do the research and the reading, figure out how it went down. But yep, I'm the MVP for that one.
All good. Just don't stack them, right?
You know what? It's the night game. It's night
Always
game's
the night
fault.
game. Yeah.
Now when it's regular season, I'll be fine. But preseason and night game, it's a little bit of a tough combo there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree.
That's gonna do it for us this week, though. Thanks for watching, joining along with us. We're going to be back next week. And we're going to do a recap of the Falcons game, and we'll figure out a little bit of, regular season primer stuff, but we'll be here. Go ahead and tell us where they find you, Josh.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at J_Collier. Big time BTJ believer here. I didn't have any BTJ slander pre-draft. So go give a follow.
Yeah. Your boy might end up on the BTJ trials or whatever those are being called right now.
They're coming for you.
I probably will end up there.
Ball style.
Go ahead and give me a follow at Schultzy, SCHU1TZY. Go ahead and follow the Undroppables on Twitter, and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've got tons of other teams content being made for them. I want to say about half the league is being covered on the channel there. Lots of other fantasy content on the Undroppables, including a show I am on and produce. So yeah, check that one out, the Dynasty Pulse. And other than that, I think that's it. Guy, any last words?
Nope. See you guys.
Duval.